basically, an attorney here in Charlotte. I'm a single practitioner. I mostly do family law, immigration, and some personal injury cases. And I've been on my own since about 2016. Prior to that, I worked for another law firm before starting out on my own. Actually, I first started doing pro bono work when it was called legal aid, back when I was in law school. So that was in 2007, I believe. And Charlotte School of Law, which no longer exists, sadly. And they had a requirement where all students had to participate and do pro bono work as part of the graduation requirement. So 2007 was when I first started doing pro bono work with legal aid at that point, and then into my practice, I continued doing so, and I would do maybe at least one case per year with them, and I still, so up until today, 2020, I still continue that partnership with them. I learned back in law school that this access that we call access to justice, some people just don't have that resource in the form of money. And if you have limited funds, meaning if you're a low income, minimum wage person, then you really don't have that access to justice because you can't afford to hire an attorney and go to court. And a lot of people, every day you see them, their rights are violated simply because they can't afford to hire an attorney, and they go without certain things that otherwise would have happened if they had the funds to retain an attorney. So for that reason, I decided back then that I would do whatever I could to help those people out. I've done some wills, but mostly it's the immigration that I do, especially with the SIJS cases. Those are the most vulnerable applicants or clients that I have. And for that reason, I mostly do those cases because I guess not a lot of attorneys know how to do them or do them. But I've been doing those mostly with legal services. This was back in 2012, I believe. This was probably my youngest client that I've had to work with. And this was a little boy who came in to the US on a train on his own to reunite with his mom. And he was about 9 years old, I believe it was. And upon arrival at the US border, he was so dehydrated. He ended up staying about 3 months getting medical treatment before he was released to his mom. And when I got the email from Katya, I believe back then she was the person that was heading that department, and she asked me if I could assist with his case, and of course I said yes. So I worked with him all the way up. He was in removal, so even though I didn't really do removal cases, I did go to the immigration court and I had his case terminated. And he was so terrified because he just didn't want to go back to his country because he knew what he would face if he went back there. And at 9 years old, he understood that. And at 9 years old, the burden, placed on this child was so heartbreaking. And when we were able to successfully get that case terminated for him, and then he ended up getting his green card. And I was sitting in my office one day and he came with his mom with flowers, and he told his mom he wanted to do that. I didn't expect it at all, but that just touched me so much, So that is probably the one case that I always think about, and that will always encourage me to keep doing this work. Just the appreciation that you get from people to do this work because you're getting adequate representation, not just, some attorney just doing, not caring. Most of the attorneys that I know who do pro bono work care about these people and we fight for them. So I think people should understand that we do this out of compassion for the most part. Helping people. Um, so if you think about everything in total, it's just the whole aggregate of these cases together is why I continue to do it. Like I said, it's just the need. The need is so great. So when you think about that, the need is so great in the community. So whatever little person, one person, if it's one person or two individuals that I can assist, then, you know, I'm very grateful that I have the opportunity to do so, and I have the knowledge to do so, and I have the time to do so. Because I think that is one thing where a lot of attorneys say, oh, I don't have the time. And I always make time to do those cases because it is just so needed in the community. Again, it's just the gratification that you get from these individuals, knowing that it does make a difference in their lives, because most of these people that come to you have situations that immediately impacts their lives. And when you could help those people and you see how grateful they are, because a lot of times when people end up coming through the advocacy centers because they're desperate and they show up out of pure desperation, probably because they've tried doing this on their own and they've hit roadblocks. And so when they come to, you know, the advocacy centers because they're like, I'm done, I don't know what to do, they're frustrated. And then when they meet with an attorney who can say, yes, we could help you and here's what we're going to do. And at the end of the day, those people are given legal help, legal assistance, and it is greatly appreciated. And every time I've done one of these cases, it's not the money that you get sometimes, it's just the gratitude. And that's a lot because not everything is about money. It's just being, it just comes down to being a human being and just helping somebody else out. Pretty much that's what it is. You know, that's pretty much what it comes down to for me anyways. To recommend my colleagues to do so. I'm not sure how many of them have taken me up on that, but I do, and I always tell them about the cases that I work on. And it goes back to what I said earlier, is that access to justice piece of it, where not everybody can afford to hire an attorney. It's nice if you could do so, but for those who can't, you find that those people are shut out completely out of the legal process. I mean, the courthouse is open, so to speak, for everybody who wants to go there. But again, if you don't know how to navigate rules and regulations and laws, then you find yourself being shut out for the most part. You do need an attorney to properly help you through a lot of things. And if you can't afford that attorney, then you're denied that access. So it goes back to that. And again, the lower you are in the income bracket, then you find that that gap widens between those people who could have justice and those people who cannot. And it's just a matter of, you know, us as attorneys seeing that, realizing that, and stepping up to fill that gap within our community.